And one. Good evening. This is Brett Jolly with Jolly T Multimedia, and we're talking today about actually several factors. We're talking about the music industry, Philadelphia music industry. The thing is, you can't mention Philadelphia music, I think, without talking about or talking to this person here. Those of you who have probably heard of him, those of you who have not seen him, you're going to see him right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Alfie Pollitt. Hey, kind sir, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing fine. For those people who do not give me a little bit of your credits, like some of the things that you've done. First off, you're a keyboard player, but yeah, I don't want to do that. You do that.
Well, I've been blessed to work with people in so-called jazz, R&B, theatrical music, different things.
All right. Can you mention some names of anybody that you've worked with, especially in Philadelphia? Well, it doesn't have to just be Philadelphia.
Okay.
But,
Well, I started out with a guy named Nate Murray, he's a ancestor now. He's passed on, and he was a bass player and a musical band leader and a music provider.
Really?
So
Okay.
I played bass with him, but he played bass, and in fact, in the first band I was in with him was John Coltrane's nephews, Carl and Earl Grubbs.
Oh, I remember Earl Grubbs. Didn't he play down at Kim Graves? Was he a sax player?
Sax player. He played
Yes.
tenor soprano.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in a year, but I guess I'm assuming, is he still alive?
No, he's passed on. But Earl and Carl's father was the brother of John Coltrane's first wife, Naima Grubbs.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was that like working with him, and what did you guys actually do?
Well, this was back in the 50s, 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
I was a teenager. Well, we were all teenagers. Nate was older than us. He was like a young adult.
Right.
And he had connections. And we played pretty much in bars.
Gotcha.
Like that. And my hometown, Bryn Mawr, I was living in Bryn Mawr, growing up there. And he came and would pick me up,
Mm-hmm.
And made sure I'm dressed properly for whatever engagement we're doing. And, I know what music I'm supposed to be playing. We used to rehearse a lot at his home.
Really?
In West Philly.
So do you feel that, because you did rehearsal back then, do you feel that with today's music scene, there is enough rehearsal for some of the younger cats, or do you think that basically, well, is it the same, or is it different now?
Well, far as my experience, which might be limited because a lot of things I do with folk are, people who are already established. But I mean, far as the younger people I've encountered, they would go to like somebody transcribed a song in a book, like a real book or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they would go with that unquestioning, as opposed to when we were taught stuff, we went and listened to the recording and used our ears to pick up and try to play it as close as we could to the recording.
Right.
And in the jazz and the R&B as well, So we had to do the work. I remember one time there's a friend of mine named Walter Robinson. He grew up in Ardmore, and he's a playwright now.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, he used to play bass with James Taylor, and James's brother Livingston and their sister and different people. But he and I, we were trying to figure out this song John Coltrane did called Miles's Moon, which has another name, Red Planet.
Gotcha.
And it goes in and out of, it's a very unconventional to our ears, and maybe even to this day to people,
Mm-hmm.
It's can't. So anyway, we had to learn it. We trial and error. We just played the record on down to 16 2/3, the slowest revolution we could get it, and try to pick it out.
Really?
With our ears, and we were able to give you an example.
Gotcha. Wow.
So it was a challenge, and in fact, one time also, another musician, friend of ours, Robert Wild Wild LeGrand.
Oh yeah. Great guitar
He might not
player.
remember this, but one night we were trying to figure out some of the progressions in If Only One Night, like the Luther.
Yes, it's right. Only 418. Yes.
And this passage here.
Right. Which is important to know.
That had us stumped.
Really?
We was up late at night trying to figure that out. You know?
I love it.
You know?
Well, okay. We know that you have a great ear for music. How was it for everybody else to try to pick it out? Did you have any problems trying to? Because I'm assuming that you were the director.
Did we play with anybody else?
Well, yeah. In other words, like you know, when you told other people, I'm sure you had to tell people what the parts were. Did you, when you did that, did they have a problem picking it up, or were they able to follow your direction?
Well, I'm not sure. We might have played it maybe one time or something, but I don't really recall.
Gotcha. I got you.
That
I got
far,
you.
if we went that far.
Right.
We just like had to know that. Just for an example, like Miles Davis's, which is album is called the largest, longest best-selling jazz album. Album called Kind of Blue.
Mm-hmm.
And the introductory tune by Miles and I would say Miles and Bill Evans, but the intro, I always loved it, and I figured, you know, so somebody says, okay, learn the song. So my question is, what are the chords? So I found out that there were chords in it, and there were partials of chords.
Really? Okay. Gotcha.
So it's like, this is two tones.
Right.
Those are actual so what changes.
Yeah. Right.
Which is another type of scale type thing. Bass comes in.
Yeah. Great tune. Great tune.
But to be able to use one's ears and isolate and figure that stuff out.
It's a
and
different
I owe
thing.
that to others who have, like with Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam Reed was our musical director with Teddy. So
And by the way, we're talking about Teddy Pendergrass.
Teddy Pendergrass, right.
Okay.
So Sam Reed and Teddy and Sam, they were cousins.
Really? I didn't know
They
that.
were both born in Kingstree, South Carolina. They migrated up here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So and Sam was so nonchalant about everything. We said, so Teddy wanted to do, I think, This One's For You.
Yes.
Oh, and then we did Lady and
Right.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So our challenge was to listen to the record and try to play it as close to the record, and then we would, add
Put some changes in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that was something I was going to ask you about too, because it's interesting. And not to cut you off, but when I talked to the Funk Brothers at one point, the guys who worked at Motown,
Right.
they were actually responsible for organizing and arranging stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I'm sure you had to do that on your own with other musicians to change certain aspects of it.
Sure.
How much of that did you have to do? How do you think? Did you have to change stuff drastically, or what were some of the big changes you had to do?
Well, some assignments I got were recording sessions with songwriters who had an idea, basic idea of what they wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
but they would rely on what the musicians would come up with.
Right.
Like let me go back to Kenny Gamble and the Romeos.
Yes.
I was blessed to do one gig with them
Mm-hmm.
through a friend of mine named Donald Mosley. He's passed on now, but he was a bass player.
Gotcha.
So he went to school with Gamble and them and Tommy Bell, and so he hooked me up with this gig. So Tommy, Roland Chambers and Carl Chambers, and that band, they would play cabarets,
Mm-hmm.
and they would play. They had their pulse on what was moving the people.
Right.
And some of that they would add to. They come to a recording session, and make it happen.
Wow.
You
wow.
know?
That's great because people
Some
need
of the
to.
Motown stuff with some of the stuff that
Right.
you know.
Oh, yeah. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you come to any major disagreements when it came to something like that, or was basically everybody on the same page?
Oh, sometimes disagreements, you know. Some
Okay.
people-
How did you handle those?
Oh, well, I'm still here. You know?
Okay, that's a good thing. All right. It got handled.
Other than that, all that, you know, hey,
Well,
I don't nobody's back there just talking to me.
I understand it.
Mhm.
Well, since you've been around for a while, and of course you've seen the evolution of music. What is the difference
Somewhat.
between
Mhm.
what's the difference between the way music was then and the way music is now? And I want you to be honest. What
Okay.
your honest assessment of it?
Well, I would say some of the music nowadays is like cookie cutter, I would say.
Okay, what does that mean?
I mean, it's like a lot of people used to play the same way. It's like
Right. Okay.
originality is not.
It's gone.
It's not like it. But recently, I've heard of Bruno Mars,
Right.
and recently, I heard some. It's man, this guy, wow, and he
Right.
respects what came even back in the '50s stuff.
Right. He
Yeah,
seems to be an old school. He's an old school person, a young person who's got a little bit of old school. Does that sound right? Or probably
Yeah.
not. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then there's a lady that I'm currently working with, Felicia Wilkins, right?
Oh yeah,
And
excellent vocals.
Felicia, yeah. So Felicia, she loves the '50s oldies. I mean,
Okay.
and she's a younger person.
Right.
But but it's like part of her DNA, that she
Yeah.
respects it, and I'm grateful that there are people around, young people so to keep that stuff going on.
Yeah, it's amazing that you say that because believe it or not, and I've talked to a lot of young people,
Mhm.
but for some reason or other, they don't like the new stuff that's being played on the radio now. They really love the old stuff.
Mhm.
What do you attribute that to? I mean, is it something? Is it just the radio stations? Is it just where music's gone? Is it money? What motivates the change to go to this stage of music, in your mind, or in your view?
Well, maybe
Because music is
fo-
different.
Follow the crowd aspect.
Okay, gotcha.
Some people and maybe not having any other things that they can look at to reference from.
Okay.
you know,
Okay,
and
okay.
Not exposed to it.
Well, and that's an interesting point because back in the day, and I can only go from my own time.
Mhm.
You had great people like George Benson.
Mm-hmm.
You had Al Jarreau.
Mm-hmm.
You had like the Miles. I mean,
Mhm.
all of those people. But yet, when you compare that scene to this scene now, because you had great people who could sing, could play. But nowadays, it's all about. Well, there's no artistry. It feels like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think that that's going to stay that way? Do you think that anything will change it, or what do you
Well,
believe?
hopefully it will change for the better.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping so. As a musician, and I'm a musician myself, it's like I like artistry
Mm-hmm.
in my music. And the thing about it is, you do too. Because from playing with you, and if you haven't heard Alfie, this is real important. He's a great player, an awesome cat to know. And the thing about it is we can go to different things, when we play together.
I'm not a cat.
Yeah, you're not a cat. I'm sorry. What would you refer yourself to? I'm sorry. I know.
I have these attacks. What can I say?
It's all right, man. It's all right. But he's a great guy, and
But
without.
I believe that term is one of the terms introduced by Louis Armstrong.
Really?
like a lot of the slang and stuff and scat and all that stuff.
Right. Right.
Pops kept the forerunner to a lot of stuff that we got today.
Well, yeah.
And I would venture to say that it's influenced hip hop and on and on.
Man, wow.
All over the planet.
Well, yeah. And he's another one of those
And
artists.
I was blessed to see Louis Armstrong play.
Did you really?
Several times.
Where?
At the Berwyn Fair, Berwyn, Pennsylvania, and
Okay.
the Devon Horse Show.
Wow. You know, it's amazing when you hear some of the inside stories about some of the people back then and the things they went through. You don't know whether most of it is true. You could probably speculate it, but one thing about it is they were great entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were really great entertainers. So, you know, it's a great thing to see it. I would love to see it come back. There's a lot of great talent. Still, there's a lot of great singers in not just the Philadelphia area, but worldwide.
Right.
So if they were to try to put themselves out now or to be promoted now, what is the best bet? Should they get a record deal? Should they just work on their own? What do you think they should do?
I would say be as independent as possible.
Okay.
And if they don't know how to record or they don't know the musicians, go to somebody that can help them.
Gotcha.
Do the recording and then study the systems out there, and see, what if you want to make that move, investigate that stuff.
Right.
To see, and hopefully you'll be able to benefit. It'll be beneficial for you as opposed to a liability.
Right. Exactly. Now you also work with Norman Connors.
Norman and I grew up together.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, since I met him downtown, Rittenhouse Square, Norman, Billy Paul.
Right.
We all used to live together.
Really?
Billy, Norman Connors, a lot of fine arts painters.
Wow.
Poets. So
Really?
we were part of the beatnik scene.
Okay.
Coffee houses and everything downtown.
Really?
And Rittenhouse Square, just like this hat here says the Moon Gang, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I've been friends with the Moon from 62nd and Vine since the 50s.
Okay.
And some people have had bad experiences with the Moon.
Well, I've heard about them. Are they still around?
Yeah.
Really?
But I mean, some of the old heads, they like do-gooders.
Okay.
They help the community,
Right.
And so we've been friends. So 62nd and Vine and 62nd and Callahan was their corner. Our corner was Rittenhouse Square.
Okay.
And we presided over. The domain was the center part of the square.
Right.
Because it was, hippies. We saw the hippies come.
Right.
And we saw them exit and go to California. And,
Right.
And we saw, the drugs and alcohol. One time, a guy burnt down the Christmas tree in Rittenhouse Square.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how did that go?
Oh, well. And it's like statute of limitation, and he remains nameless.
Right. And as well he should.
But we all, like Billy Paul, Norman Connors, and myself, and a lot of painters and stuff. We lived a place called the Studios, 1430 South Penn Square, right across from Rittenhouse Square.
Gotcha.
I think it's called the Ritz-Carlton is now.
Yes, I know you're talking about, yes.
But it's right across from the statue of the Cato.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think Cato. And it was the studio loft building, so there were a lot of artists, painters, people who, shoplifters.
Right.
And, possibly burglars and all kind of people. And we all lived together, and we all bonded together. We hung together. It was like some people, theatrical people in theater, painters, musicians.
Gotcha.
So we were there together, and Norman would practice every day. He played the
Really?
drums, yeah. And even if he had company, he'd be there practicing on the practice pad all
Right.
day long,
Right.
And then like him, like he was a guy who, he was a very type of guy who you work with Norman, right?
I work with Norman.
Yeah.
I work with Norman and with Billy Paul.
And Billy, yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So Norman would like,
Matter of fact, Norman's my good friend. His birthday's on the same day as mine, March 1st.
Get out of here.
Yeah, we call each other on our birthdays on March 1st. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
It is funny, but yeah. We do that.
Yeah, well Norman, so we all participated. Norman was acting. I remember when Norman was looking at becoming an actor, and he would do some acting there.
Really?
It was like
That I never knew.
It was like freestyle, avant-garde, improv stuff. You know?
Gotcha.
And he was acting, you know. So we were in part of the beatnik movement, the black arts movement, and the black power movement.
Really? Okay.
So a lot of different things we did, you know, together. And so,
well, I didn't know that. Now, see, I'd not see. Next time I talk to him, I'm gonna mention it. How was he as an actor in your own personal assessment? Well,
Norman was one of the top drummers that left Philly.
Okay.
You know, back in that time. In fact, him and a young lady, Linda Chambers, who eventually married a guitar player named Sonny Sharrock. Sonny played with Pharoah Sanders and Leon Thomas in it.
Got you, right.
So we went to New York together. A friend of ours had a car and drove us. We went to New York. We moved to New York. They stayed up there. I came back.
Okay.
But Norman, before that, he knew how to. Him and Gerald Roberts, who was his road manager.
Gotcha.
They knew everybody. They was young people, but they went to all the bars and rooms, so they knew Miles. They knew Train and Cannonball and Chico Hamilton, Art Blakey. So they were like, knew how to get in them circles, you know.
Right.
So when Norman went to New York, he was, with Miles' house. And Miles and Max Roach.
Yeah, he told me some stories with him and Miles. Some we can't mention, but yeah.
Oh, okay. well, Norman, Max Roach, and Miles were idols for his fashion.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Norman's always a dress-up cat.
Yeah, because I remember Esquire magazine one year, back in the 50s, Miles was voted the best dressed man in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And so Norman, he would, wear a suit every day, a hat of his own,
Okay.
I got a cousin named Bob Pollitt, who's a sax player from Longside, but he like that. Always suited, tie, hat,
right.
and all that kind of stuff. But they came from that tradition,
Wow, man. Well, it's amazing what you find out about people. And by the way, for those who do not know, Norman Connors had the classic hit Starship.
Yeah, my Starship.
Yeah, it's a Starship. And Billy Paul I guess he's most well known for Me and Mrs. Jones.
Mrs. Jones, which was written by Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff, and Carrie Gilbert.
Gilbert,
we call him Hippie.
Hippie, really?
Yeah. See, like the sound of Philadelphia is like, really, to me, it's two cities. It's Camden, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Right.
Huff was from Camden. Vic Karstoffen, who wrote with McFadden Whitehead, was from Camden.
Okay.
The Ebony's from Camden. Huff is from Camden.
Wow. I didn't know that about
Gamble, Roland Chambers, Carl Chambers, Earl Young, they all from Philly. Sam Reed.
Right. And the big
Norman's from Virginia, but he grew up in Philly.
Okay.
And
Wow.
Norman Harris.
Great guitar player.
Yeah, and his teacher was Roland Chambers.
Okay, really? Yeah, another great guitar player.
Oh man.
Yeah, we missed them both. Because they were exceptional. I wish we had musicians on the same caliber. I mean, we do, but not. Those guys did a lot. They did a whole lot. And this is a really good interview. I'm gonna actually. In this interview, we're going to do another one, if you don't mind. Can we do another one?
No, sure we do another one.
All right, yeah, we're going to do this for the first part.
It might be better than the other one.
And I agree. Listen, you guys, this is Alfie Pollitt, absolutely great musician, great friend, and part of Philadelphia icon in terms of the music industry. And we're going to say goodbye for now, but we're going to do part 2. There you go. There you go. copyright infringement, but we'll figure that out. All right, thank you very much.